Thank you everyone for coming out tonight, and thank you to Turning Point USA for hosting this wonderful event. Today I want to talk about censorship, and more specifically, how we, can I take this off? I'm sorry, can I hold this? That way I can get passionate. Today I want to talk about censorship, and more specifically, how we conservatives are being censored online. Conservative channels are quickly becoming obsolete on YouTube, and white men are instantly demonetized. In fact, Fox News has found that if you even mention Trump in a positive way online, you have a 99% chance of being banned from the entire internet. Obviously, guys, it's okay, I'm exaggerating. I am exaggerating, but there are far too many people who genuinely think this way and expected this kind of a speech from me tonight. But you may be surprised to know, I think there are many more layers to this discussion about big tech censorship. Conservatives are not being censored online the way big conservative names have claimed. These big conservatives encouraging you to play the victim and blame the fact that you're a conservative for any difficulties are lying to you because they only care about fame and money. I'm against playing the victim, and far too often conservatives are quick to play victim anytime their social media accounts fluctuate. The topic of censorship is a controversial one, and I think there is certainly big tech bias against conservative voices on specific social media platforms, but this is a nuanced discussion that can't be summed up as easily as, yes, conservatives are being censored online. You may have come here expecting something entirely different from me. In fact, I'm pretty sure there are people outside right now protesting my speech. And I can assure everyone protesting me, I'm not a Nazi, all right, guys? And any protester claiming I am one should probably spend more time studying history instead of protesting someone they've never even listened to. So I'm not gonna tell anyone what they want to hear. Instead, I wanna look at what the facts say so we can all stop living as victims and instead work to further our conservative beliefs across the online sphere. So this is the truth about censorship. I want to begin with my first point, censorship, what is and is not happening. Anytime the discussion about big tech censorship arises, you're quick to hear right-wing pundits invoke freedom of speech. But big tech censorship is not a free speech issue. Even if all claims of censorship are 100% true, this would still not be a free speech issue. The First Amendment protects us from government infringing on our freedom of speech. Facebook, along with all the other social media platforms, are free to ban people as it's a private company. In the summer of this year, Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote for a divided 5-4 court that a private entity that opens its property for speech by others is not transformed by that fact alone into a state actor and therefore is free to censor users. Another common conservative argument is that social media platforms are behaving as a publisher rather than a platform. This is not true either, as social media platforms have community guidelines which are within their rights to enforce, where publishers are held legally responsible for the content. Publishers also approve all material before it's published, and with 300 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute, it would be ludicrous to suggest it's even within possibility to approve all material before it's published, making YouTube, along with other social media sites, a platform. Now, although big tech censorship isn't a free speech issue, it doesn't mean censorship is somehow a good thing. But far too often, conservative voices oversimplify the issue of censorship, either deliberately in an attempt to garner victim points or due to assumptions based on misinformation. Many of you know that I'm a conservative YouTuber. I am one of the largest conservative channels on YouTube, and I'm also one of the youngest conservative content creators. If anyone has an understanding of YouTube as well as the censorship on the platform, it's me. Back in the month of April, I woke up one morning to discover something shocking. As a new father, this was something that was especially terrifying for me. I woke up to find out that my YouTube account had been terminated. I had over 630,000 subscribers one day, and poof, the next day, my entire account, along with nearly 100 million total channel views, was gone. I'm sure you can guess I'm sure you can guess that day was a very stressful one. I support my wife and my new baby on the revenue I earn from YouTube, and to have that suddenly stripped away without warning was really, quite honestly, devastating. Thankfully, after 7 painful hours, my channel was reinstated. Now, this would be an easy scenario for me to blame censorship. Here's a perfect chance for me to claim I'm a victim due to my conservative beliefs. However, the fact that my channel was so quickly reinstated is proof against conservative censorship rather than for it. Far too often, conservatives quickly blame the fact that they're conservative for any online penalty, when in reality, there's a much higher correlation among conservatives and edgy content. We conservatives don't care about being politically correct. If someone is acting like a retard, we're fine just calling them out about that. Because of this, we also tend to cross the line and break the rules more often, resulting in more online penalties. It's a conservative value of mine to take personal responsibility, and an instance such as this is really no different. Now, on the flip side, I agree that YouTube has room to improve, and you and I may not like the YouTube rules and guidelines, but if you get pulled over for speeding, you may not like the fact that the speed limit is only 30 miles an hour, but that doesn't change the fact that these rules exist and breaking them will result in consequences. It's also important to note that it's not in YouTube's best interest to terminate conservative channels. Lost my page there. YouTube is a business at the end of the day, and they want money. So the more conservative channels, the more users being brought to their platform, the better. And I think we all have capitalism to thank for that. Lastly, these issues are not exclusive to conservatives by any means. Over my time on YouTube, I've seen apolitical channels get terminated by mistake repeatedly. I've seen LGBT content creators file a lawsuit claiming censorship and discrimination, and I've even seen the Democratic candidate Tulsi Gabbard file a $50 million lawsuit claiming censorship. So if big tech censorship exists, it's happening to everyone. All right, YouTube is like communism. Everyone suffers equally. Lending further doubt to the sweeping claim that conservatives are constantly censored online, Facebook's best performing pages skew conservative, data from Social Media Monitor NewsWhip shows. In February, Fox News received significantly more interactions than any other publisher on Facebook, with more than 45 million engagements. The UK's conservative-leaning Daily Mail came second, followed by Cuck News Network, CNN, and right-wing pundit Ben Shapiro's website, The Daily Wire. So if big tech is targeting and censoring conservatives, they aren't really doing a very good job. Media Matters, a left-leaning organization, tracked 463 Facebook pages that actively posted about politics to an audience of 500,000 or more followers. Over the course of the 6-month study, right-leaning pages had 51% more interactions than left-wing pages. Finally, a study from The Economist found no evidence of ideological bias in Google's search results. We're the side that claims to value facts over feelings. But you won't hear this data from any other conservatives because the big-name conservatives are operating on their feelings in a cheap attempt to push a victim narrative. As conservatives, we constantly criticize our society for creating a culture that rewards the victim, yet too many conservatives nowadays are profiting off that exact culture they claim to be against. Big conservative companies like PragerU have the audacity to sue YouTube because some of their content doesn't appear when YouTube is in restricted mode, a mode usually turned on at libraries or schools to block content that's not necessarily safe for work. However, a researcher at the think tank Data and Society found algorithmic reasons those videos might have been flagged. One video began with the word rape, which could have been automatically detected. Many of their videos deal with sensitive topics such as the Holocaust, and most, if not all, controversial videos, regardless of political slant, are not available when YouTube is in restricted mode. But to many people, these facts don't matter because there's currency in victimhood. So I've explained the nuance around censorship and how the claims of many conservatives are unfounded. So this brings us to my second point. Is big tech censorship happening to conservatives at all? Yes, but not in the way that you've been told. I don't think there's conservative censorship on YouTube specifically, but I do think at the very least, bias against conservatives exists on Facebook and certainly on Twitter. Although there's no way to test the validity of these claims, a former Facebook insider who was interviewed by Project Veritas said the social media giant has allegedly developed an entire set of tools that it frequently uses to suppress conservative voices and target outspoken right-leaning users. I do believe these claims are a bit sketchy, especially according to the data I previously cited on right-leaning Facebook pages outperforming left-wing pages. Regardless, here is potential algorithmic bias, yet conservatives don't focus on these potential real issues and instead peddle anecdotal evidence to champion their claims. Twitter is also notorious for shadow banning and flat out suspending conservative voices. I think this boils down to the fact that Facebook and Twitter are operated by liberals. Many times the decision to ban a user comes down to a human reviewer where there's room for human error as well as bias. But again, it's not in the company's best interest to censor or ban anyone. And even in instances where certain conservative content creators like Diamond and Silk have been censored, the error was acknowledged by the company and reversed. So although censorship may not be the right word, I do think political bias exists and can negatively impact the decisions made by big tech when it comes to conservative content creators. Finally, we come to my last point, why it's easy to believe big tech is censoring conservatives. Although conservatives should take personal responsibility and stop playing the victim, big tech needs to do their part as well. According to the Washington Post, research reveals one likely reason why these claims of censorship continue. Facebook and Google don't make clear either their guidelines or reasoning for accepting or rejecting paid political content or the process by which they make those decisions. This lack of transparency may lead outsiders to believe the worst, especially when tech chief executives make political statements that don't accord with their prospective customers' beliefs. So although censorship isn't happening at the level many claim, big tech needs to provide more transparency and around their rules and how they make decisions. This current lack of explanation leads many to assume that these big tech companies are out to get them. Back in 2017, I was banned from Twitter, and I've been banned ever since. At the time, I was quick to claim censorship or bias. But looking back now, I can see the guidelines I'd probably violated, no matter how ridiculous they might be. I appealed the decision and only received a brief, automated email explaining that my account was permanently suspended due to violating the Twitter guidelines on targeted harassment. Of course, I was confused. I was given no examples of this so-called harassment, and I was never given a further explanation. This lack of transparency and communication made it easy for me to believe that I was a victim of big tech censorship. Even the Data and Society researcher who looked into PragerU's claims noted that YouTube's lack of transparency makes it difficult to identify the algorithms and processes behind deletions. This is true because the decision-making process is so murky and kept so quiet with little or no communication other than automated emails, this creates a breeding ground for conspiracy theories about big tech censorship to fester. So in summary, big tech censorship is not as black and white as many make it out to be. Bias exists and can negatively impact decisions within Facebook and Twitter, but it seems there is no real censorship of conservatives on YouTube. We need to remember that any difficulty we face is not directly because we are conservative. This is a victim mentality that sadly is propagated by many loud conservative voices who really just care about their bottom line. I am not a victim and neither are you. You have an uncensored voice, so use it for good. Don't be afraid to spread your conservative beliefs online. Do so respectfully and truthfully, and you, along with thousands of other conservatives, can build a successful online community. And that's the truth about censorship.